fire! Oh, choking me! I rang Elisa! Came up the internal staircase from the bay to Miragold, the cave, the pirate. I'd done this big case. I was flying to London, the Privy Council. On my arrival, crash! I woke up on the island, the prison hospital. Disintegrate? Fly off and do it myself? You must be joking. I'm not doing that. I'm protected in here. I've got guardians outside. I'm not going anywhere. This is it for me. I know the walls are closing in. They're coming closer and they're starting to squeeze me in. And, well, I've got a choice. Yes, you either turn inside out and get out of this closet close and cupboard and grow like a tree up and start sprouting leaves and branches and be something and stop being crucified. Christ, oh, God, choked me with a rope. Choked me with a rope. I was dying. I had to either fly out of here or get on a ship like Errol. Here was the map. Errol. And start adventuring and living and growing. Or die. Rich. The disintegration broke the wall to the theatre at the mind I called Skull Cathedral. As the wall squeezed in, squeezed the persona, and it disintegrated. Mysteriously was filmed. The inner DNA dream history emerged. It had been stored in a capsule carried within his brain, dug out as it were. As the theatre curtains opened and revealed story in inner space parallel time. A feminine DNA emerges. Took back. In the lab, explore the tract through the vein and remove the blockage. Disintegrate. Could cause a dangerous hemorrhage. Test pattern. Drugs. Drink. Substitutes. Sex. Disguising the true intent of what to do, God. I just don't know what to do. Okay, I had it once. Filthy disillusionment set in. I've got to find him. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out. Let me tell you, I had to provide formula once. It was the answer. I could do anything I liked. I was on top of the world. But then, you came along, and there's no good doctor. I can't. I wish you'd stop diverging and just read the bloody thing out. I was broken that day. I wish it had never happened. As I looked into the diary, I saw the pages unfold. The imprint was indelibly on my mind. There was no other way but to write. Images flooded in. I was caught in an unentangled quandary, an unentangled country that made up the geography in front of me and made me weep. I could not go on. I could not go to. I could not go to the escape in these last days on earth. I could go to her. To go to her would make me seem like a criminal who had committed the most despicable crime. Trying to set up. Well, it's back. It's in the notes now, Sarge. Murdered in a studio. Da-da-da! Da-da! How could I resolve it? I could see no way out. I was innocent, yet if I went to her with it, it would seem like I had done it, was guilty. But I was innocent. I was innocent. I had flown from this far-flung country down below at the bottom of the planet in the southeast to go to the Royal Courts of Justice to try to solve this issue, this question of this island. Its old name was, well, in ancient antiquity, was Fiji, and I'd gone as a last resort to the Royal Courts of Justice. I'd wanted to go to The Hague or some sort of world court. I had an idea I would get jurisdiction by applying for a declaration. Lord Denning said anyone could apply for a declaration. I'd taken all the files, all the current files on which I was working that day. I'd flown to this northwest kingdom. Exactly, it was called England in those days, and I'd wanted to file my application because I'd been denied any sort of remedy in the southeastern section. The southeastern section had denied any sort of remedy. The judges had excluded me. It's the Black Madonna. The answer.
Cameron, her brother. Why was he not there?
All parts. 19. I said to him, the panties, the black panties. I thought the idea was to keep them as evidence for the Crown Prosecutor in the trial to convict von Heydrich, a German, in the erotica, the Pope's poem. It's been suppressed, supplanted. They used the legend, the Mother Church, it was called, to describe the feminine DNA timeline. Suppressed the pagan rituals, the Druids, and the cadets in Sandhurst, Mary Cameron, Michael Cameron, all knew. There'd been a government policy. So I, as a last resort, intended to succeed in the international court because I thought that Britain, the old kingdom, was favourable, and it later turned out that its policy was far more favourable in the southeastern section. But the northwestern section was my last hope. I crossed the equator in the plane and I arrived and I had all my notes, my files, all the ones that were current in other areas, and I would return to Australia and do them and succeed in them. I would work on them on the plane back and succeed in them when I arrived back in the capital of the southeastern section and do all the cases, do them all and win them. I had a month spare, so I went and, well then, I found that the chambers to which I'd applied, well, it was Easter. Of course it was Easter. It was the crucifixion. I'd applied to become a part of the chambers there, and an interview was, I remember it now, it's come back, I'm writing this diary. I was to see the head of chambers, Sir Sidney, Sir QC. I got a note from his clerk. To my shock, he said that he had to cancel. He had to go to do a matrix treaty, it was called, in Belgium or Brussels or whatever that country in that section was called. So many 200,000 years ago. 200 years ago, it now seems. And he cancelled. And he didn't reschedule. It meant that I had to try. I tried to come into my uncle's chambers, because when I'd left the southeast section I was to go straight to my uncle's chambers. I was going to go straight to my uncle's chambers, join up there, apply to the court, do this Fiji case, seek a declaration pursuant to Lord Denning's judgments. He had said anybody can apply for a declaration provided there is some sort of locus standi. I was going to quote McQuirter's case, a man who was gunned down on the steps by the IRA, an organisation way long ago. But it would give me locus standi and jurisdiction, even though it was an international case. The Commonwealth was involved and Britain was at its head. Well, this is the diary. I found it. The detective found the diary. The detective. His eye. One side. Multiple personalities. 6 characters in search of characters in search of an answer. One, hi. I'm in the 6 characters, 6 sides. And here's the diary as a detective I found. Well, let's read what I wrote. I don't even remember it, but the sound. I tunnelled out. Somewhere along the line I had the blackout, came back in as a detective in a different guise. I don't even remember the switch, the change in the schizophrenic. But this is a diary I left. Well, read it! A sort of theatrical farce in which I played the lawyer. The lawyer. The label. A sort of lawyer, a Perry Mason. For those of us in the audience who are older. And filmed. We, characters, episodes, filmed, experiments, one after the other, in the game. For the insane.